How's your day so far?
Yeah, great. I mean, it's 8 here, and yeah, honestly, we've had such a lovely day. We're just, believe it or not, starting up on another Luca Guadagnino project. So it's crazy, but fantastic.
He's very prolific, I feel like.
He doesn't stop. He's constantly cooking stuff up, and it's just an amazing ride to kind of get on. Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, this film, like all of his other projects, I loved it. And the casting here, again, like usual, I thought, just fantastic. It was kind of like almost felt like it could have been a play at times.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I also think the writing kind of lends itself to that. There's a theatricality, but um, it's just there's a lot of depth as well. There's a lot behind the scenes that you don't get to see, and I think that's so fascinating.
I saw that he called your work astonishing. I agree, but who am I?
I
So,
mean, that's amazing to hear, and I mean, I've said a few times, but I think when you get to work repeatedly with a director, you just get better at it because you understand a little bit their process and their taste to some extent. Although I wouldn't limit Luca in terms of his taste because, as you can see from his body of work, it varies and I'm sure with actors, he's surprising as well. But definitely, I know what I'm getting into, and I trust my instincts when I'm working with him, and that's a really good thing.
you guys must have like a shorthand now, maybe?
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. I mean, it was funny actually, even on a call today, Luca cracked a joke and was like, you kind of like have to know, you have to like there's a shorthand even in being able to find the ridiculousness of some of the situations we find ourselves in and be able to kind of ride on through them. And I think like yes, I think there is a shorthand and certainly another thing I really know with Luca in terms of the casting process is um, it's inherently, by nature, a very private process. But I think with him particularly, it's incredibly, it's there's a really intimate nature to when you're assembling the company before the project grows and the crew grow and it becomes kind of unwieldy in the size of you look at the crew list on any film and there's so many people. And I think something in terms of the casting is that it happens at the very start when there's really a handful of people starting to put it together. And I think because Luca's so trusted and respected, he gets to have that process in a really particularly intimate way, like it's private. He's not doing what anyone else says. He's doing what he wants and needs to do. And I think that's a really incredible thing to be able to support him with.
What was the process? How did you guys or you get the main cast together, like Julia and Andrew and Ayo? Like I think I saw Julia Roberts was kind of already attached, maybe.
Yeah, Julia was already attached, and Lucas spoken about that when he first read the script, and she had read it, and they were introduced, and I think that was an incredible kind of alchemy. So she was already attached, and then when I began, we were immediately talking about, first of all, actually the role of Maggie, because we were aware that this is a young role and we could really analyze who the actors were out there. So Aya was very much in the conversation, but there was a period of time when we were able to go, okay, which I think is important for actors and important for any good casting process in a way to interrogate what your options are before you really land. And I think, we had to really discuss that, but Io was absolutely present as all of those conversations developed. And once they had met, I think, it was a very clear thing for Luca. But we were talking about Maggie, we were talking about the role of Hank, in detail. I think knowing that kind of triangulation was really important. And then Frederick came next, fitting our Frederick into the kind of jigsaw puzzle and the balance of it all. And the minute we're talking about Michael Stuhlbarg, then you understand, you know, the psychology of that relationship within the context of the script and their marriage, their world, his job. As you start to kind of get to know them as characters, that becomes even clearer. And it takes a little while on any script to feel the world of it. I think particularly for those of us coming onto it after the director, you're always trying to catch up and understand and sort of appreciate the world they're building, the texture of it. And the texture of it requires certain ingredients from the cast. So I think these things have to happen kind of symbiote, you know, yeah, that has to all work together.
You mentioned a second ago about the company. I feel like Michael Stuhlbarg and Chloë Sevigny are kind of part of this traveling company that he has because they've been involved in, you know, a handful of his stuff. How does that work casting them? I mean, do they have to audition, or do you guys just like bring them up? And yeah, I would imagine as an actor that's a good call to get.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't audition. Luca is so familiar with those actors. It would be wrong, but I think the discussion is this whole thing about the world. And I think again, when you referred to it at the beginning as feeling a little bit like a play, that's really that's so cool to hear because I work in theatre and film predominantly, and I think they really do relate. The projects go hand in hand that we tend to find ourselves attached to. And I think someone like Michael Stuhlbarg, it's no surprise, he's also a really celebrated theatre actor, and he knows how to find a character and embody them. And Chloë is just extraordinary. You know, she transforms in every project we see her in, and she's very beloved. And I think Luca finds it really, I would think he finds it really exciting to explore each transformation with Chloë. And this particular film, I think she's unbelievable. You know, the scenes where
She's like
she,
transformed herself.
oh,
I almost
yeah,
had to like look up IMDb. It's like, is that her?
I know. And you know, you're not the only person who said that. And oh, the scene where they're in the bar and the Morrissey song is playing, and I mean that is just I actually look forward to that scene whenever I see the film. I think she's so just one's so happy in her presence, and yeah,
Especially the last line of that scene where she was like, I forgot what it was now. I'm blanking on, but it was like it sounded like almost like an off the cuff remark or something. It was just really good.
yeah, I can't, oh God, it's like at the very end of the scene, she sort of goes, yeah,
Yeah.
like this music, like fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's brilliant. She's brilliant. She looks amazing. The hair, the whole image that they have, the design of that character as well, I think is incredible. And she embodies her. I was astonished. She blew me away. So yeah, I mean, being able to approach actors like Chloë and like Michael and know that again, testament to Luca and the people he puts together because he collaborates time and again with the same people in so many ways. And I think one thing I've learned and I love is that if you bring a project to an actor who has collaborated with him previously, they are delighted. They can't wait. That's a call you want to receive. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel that way. So and I witness it when I speak to their agents. The Luca call is a powerful thing. It's profound.
I want to talk to you about finding the two students. Like if I close my eyes and imagined like what two Yale students would look like, it's Will Price and Tadia Graham. How did you go about finding them?
Um, I loved this part of the process. And really, when I talk about us going step by step, it was so gradual working through the core company and then finding ourselves on the students. And, you know, by the time we reached that part, the crew has grown and Luca's busier than ever, like everything's gearing up. And my team and I got to actually roll up our sleeves. And instead of talking about the kind of sort of intricacies of actors we know and admire, we're suddenly talking about finding people who might not know we exist and who we don't know about yet. And that's the most, I mean, that's the thing that I absolutely love in what I get to do. So we knew we had to find students who could plausibly have been at Yale at this time studying these subjects, which is no mean feat. That's some serious smarts. And yet the way in which they're written, they are provocative, they're admired, but they are challenging and challenged. And we have to make up the fabric of the university. Luca works with precision and detail, and he works again, time and again, with a really brilliant researcher. Very few projects I've actually witnessed this, but it is something really special. So we frequently are given a lot of references to wade through, and we're making our own, of course, as you would, but we are also kind of like it's very rich, the kind of tableau of what that world would realistically look like, and also what Luca wants that world to look like, and how he wants it to feel. And so we start off by covering our walls with imagery and inspiration. And we also, it's multifaceted. And I remember at the beginning of my career kind of asking, what do you do when you're looking for a particular role? And the answer is everything. So you go there, but you also think, you have to kind of just keep looking. And because we were shooting in the UK, we have to go to the UK universities, we have to go to the American schools to find the real Americans who are here. And yet we also can't ignore Yale. But if we're looking at Yale, then we ought to look at NYU. We ought to look, we ought to not hold back. Where are the programs that these students might be found when they are also interested in acting? What are the acting programs where where they're likely to be intellectually kind of interested as well? Like where might we find these people genuinely? And then on top of that, you're kind of thinking, who are the actors who have gone to drama school, who have come from a completely different world and yet trained and can utterly understand how to dive into it and create this character, because everybody deserves a chance when you have that kind of an opportunity. So we really, really went for it. And that part of the process is lengthy, and we deliver tapes and all sorts of research to Luca. And finally, he makes selections. And we start to meet people proper. So it begins with an enormous amount of research and ends with 2 or 3 people who he's really interested in.
Well, I saw that he liked them so much that they're in his next movie now too.
Yeah, which is a common theme, and
How cool
I
is
love
that,
that.
man?
I love that, and I also feel like that, because I now know that you're introducing people who may collaborate across a long career with somebody like Luca if we get it right, and if we can get the tone and also the company, like the personalities who are going to really work well with him and be right within that environment, within that group. And so it's a fascinating thing, and he's brilliant with actors and with casting, so he knows. But I feel that responsibility keenly. And yet the work just rises. And so Will Price, I remember his first tape he made for us was funny and warm and vulnerable and smart. And you wanted to know more from this guy. And it felt like Arthur will become a fully fleshed human being in the hands of this young actor. And Thadia, I've known for actually a while, because she had auditioned for me for theatre before. So she was somebody I collect these people, and then when there's a chance and you can bring them into the frame for something else, then that's wonderful. So she just did an excellent series of auditions for Luca.
I think I only have you for like another minute or two, but
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
you mentioned tapes. What's your like? Do you have any like self-tape tips, or what do you like to see, not like to see?
I really don't like to say that because I think it's really hard for actors, and I think generally, um, I would say there's no rules. You know, people say, "Oh, have a plain background and shoot yourself really well lit and blah blah blah." But I have loved I have loved tapes where somebody's against the kitchen dresser and it's covered in crockery and they're poorly lit, but they're just doing a great job. I think researching the script, getting to know what you're doing, discovering about as much as you can about the characters, know who you're auditioning for, and then just have a few tries. Like the brilliance of a self-tape is you can do it again and again to really find your best version. And then we will know if we think they've not quite got it, but they've got something, we'll note them and let them have another try for sure.
Mm.
Also, it cross-fertilizes. We'll see someone's tape for one thing, we're working on something else, and we'll just squidge them along into another lane. That is the brilliance of being able to audition globally for these amazing projects.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me. I really appreciate it, and I really can't wait to see what you guys cook up next.
Thank you. Not at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, Lance.